Hey, good morning and welcome again to the journey. Yeah. All month long, we've been celebrating our 20th birthday here as a church, and I got stuck in the weeds of old videos this past week, and I was showing the staff the other day, and Julie's like, stop showing me these. I got to go to work. I got to start doing stuff. But, man, what I thought was cool in that video was that wasn't even like half of the baptisms we've done, and there was a lot of them in there. They were going fast, but so just seeing the impact about like where we've been, and we've been talking all this month also where we're going, and so that's what we've been doing all this month. We've been having some people share stories with us. We got Jennifer and Sarah with us today. They're going to be sharing in just a minute, and so we're excited about that. And so it's been a great month all this month, so I'm glad you're here. And as we started the journey 20 years ago, one of the things when we started, really the big focus when we started was thinking about some friends that Paul and I had. I had a friend that I was trying to kind of share my faith with, and he was kind of open. We'd talk about it a lot, and I actually got him to come to a church that I was going to. And after like 2 times coming, he's like, "I just don't belong here," and he never set foot in the place again. And I've had a lot of conversations with him since, but to me, when he said that, it just really broke my heart. And so that was before we started the journey, and that relationship was a big driving motivator for why we started the journey, because we wanted to create a place where people could come no matter where they were on their spiritual journey. A place where people could come and explore God and come with their questions and their doubts and their mess of life, and to be a place that welcomes people with open arms and points them towards Jesus, and a place where people can come, maybe they've been following Jesus for years, a place where they can come and experience them and share hope even around the world like we just saw in the video. And that's the kind of place we've always longed to be. And so that's a place that we have been, as we saw those baptisms, a lot of those people, first time ever coming to church, or maybe first time in a long time, and to see them take steps of faith, and that's the place we kind of want to continue to be. And so today we have Jennifer and Sarah, and they're going to share a little bit about their experience about inviting people to come to church, because Jennifer invited Sarah, and we're going to talk a little about that. But first, Jen, you've been coming for, I'm going to guess, 10 plus years. 13. I knew it was in that 10 to 12 range, but I was a little short on that. I only know that because I was looking for some older pictures. I got a couple to share. So there's a couple pictures. You probably need to turn around. But I could only find a bunch of Neil acting like a goofball, and I didn't find so many of you. That's like, so I don't know. But I was just judging on how old Neil was, and now he like towers over me once he was that little boy with the goofy faces.
That's my good. That's him.
So
still makes the goofy faces.
Yeah. So you can take those off. We don't need those up there anymore. Thanks, Mary. But maybe to share, like, you've been coming for 13 years, and like, what's maybe a memorable moment or a meaningful moment for you throughout those 13 years?
Well, yeah, we started coming when Neil was almost a year old, because I just needed a place to how am I going to teach him what I need to teach him? So my sister actually used to come here. She still does sometimes.
I saw her the other day.
Yeah, once in a while. But she got me to come here, and the first day was, you were finishing up your series on Job, I think. It was October, actually, 13 years ago today, or this month. And I thought, gosh, I felt like Job a few times in my life. I think everybody has. So it was really powerful. And then Paul caught me in the lobby outside afterwards and, introduced himself. I introduced myself and asked me what brought me here. And I said, well, bad experiences with church growing up. And it was always about religion and rules. And I just didn't believe in organized religion anymore. And he said, well, that's really good, because neither did Jesus. And I went, that's exactly what I need. That's perfect. And everything that you just described, as far as what the reason you guys started the journey, is exactly what has made me keep coming around for 13
Awesome.
years. It's just the only time I felt accepted, and I felt it's okay if I'm not perfect. There was a period of time when we were the church of Me Too, before the horribleness of Me Too. But I always loved that, because I thought, gosh, that's so true, because everybody here has gone through something that I've gone through. And it made me feel accepted and loved and belonged.
That's awesome. And Sarah, you've been coming like 2 years, right?
About a year.
About a year and a half, getting close. So you guys work together, right? And so you were an inviter, and you were the invitee. So maybe just talk a little bit about that experience.
Well, I had been considering looking for a church for a long time, and I kind of just didn't really know where to start because I Googled like churches in my area. There's like 200, you know, and I went to their websites, and I think, yeah, they all sound good. But, you know, I I haven't attended church regularly before this for more than 20 years, and I grew up in a church that was, you know, it was a nice church, but it was fairly focused on rules and. There just was like a lot of hierarchy, and
Sure.
I don't ever remember enjoying church. I always liked youth group, but we went to church because we were supposed to.
Yeah.
So I felt, you know, as I became an adult and had a young family and always worked at least one job, that Sunday mornings, it's just so nice to just be home. And I thought, you know, I felt guilt for not going. And then, like Jennifer, I had kids, and I thought I would, you know, want my kids to grow up not just hearing from me about faith, but, you know, as you move away from being part of a faith community, a lot of my good friends were not part of any faith community. So I, you know, just kind of felt a nudge in my heart that I really needed to make an effort to find a community where faith was the focus. And so I kind of was watching Facebook for, you know, when people say, oh, I'm looking for a local church. People frequently do that in neighborhood groups.
Right.
And I saw that Jennifer commented that she attends Journey and really loves it. And I thought, oh, great, somebody I like. And, you know, because I've been invited to church before, it always is a little sketchy because I just think, ooh, what if you go and you don't like it? You know, and then somebody takes it really personally that you didn't like their church.
Yeah, right.
What if you go and find out people are weird? You know,
Yeah.
It happens.
We are weird around here. You didn't know that?
You know,
We're a
I
little
just
weird
think
around
you
here.
don't know what you're walking into. You don't know what you're supposed to necessarily wear or what the practice is, or
Yeah.
you know, there's just so many things that I would worry about. And then when I saw that Jennifer posted that, I think I commented that I would talk to you about it later. And I did approach her at school, and you know, she told me a lot of what she just said.
Yeah.
And I know the kind of person that she is, so that recommendation came with some weight to me. And I said, oh, I think maybe that'll be the church to try. And then I think I didn't come for a couple weeks after that, and she was like, you know, super casual. She was just like, so, you think you're going to come this week? I'm just asking so I can make sure to be at the service that you're at. You know, no pressure. And she never made me feel pressured. She made me feel welcome.
Yeah.
So, which I think was a big difference in what I had previously experienced. And I said right off the bat, I'm like, well, I'm just going to try a lot of churches. I'm not going to commit to one. I'm just going to try a lot and then make sure I make the right choice and everything. And I didn't even know that she changed her whole schedule around to be there the week that I came and sit by me, because I think that was another huge thing, was like, you know, you walk into a group of people and think, oh, where do I sit? I don't want to sit by somebody, but, you know. So I think for me that was like hugely helpful, is that she made me feel welcome, and she didn't make me feel like I was inconveniencing her in any way, and she was completely open to the idea that I might not like it, or that it might not be the right fit for me. So that made it a really good experience for me. And then the first time I came, it was like hugely different than the church experience I remember before. She hadn't really mentioned the band. And, you know, that's significantly different. And everything was just a really great surprise. And what I thought I was doing to just be obedient to God in my life, and to, you know, find an opportunity to be an example for my kids, because I think, you know, we pray, and I've always been a believer, well, since I was a young child, but I haven't been like actively practicing and seeking growth. And I think I wanted a tangible way for my kids to see me say, I'm doing this to honor God, and I'm doing this to seek growth, and I love my Sunday morning. However, this is something that's more important than staying home and just relaxing, you know.
Sure.
And then they really liked it too, and it turned out to be just this enormous blessing, and something that I never did actually try another church after I came here, because I just didn't want to miss it next week.
So you would say the things that the person being invited, it was helpful that she was a friend.
Yeah.
She was a friend first, not just like shoving it in your face.
Absolutely.
She wasn't pushy with it.
Not at all.
She made you feel welcome. She went out of her way to be here when you're here. And that made the experience way better.
It did.
Yeah.
Yep, I think it's a make or break.
Yeah. Jennifer, and maybe just share a little bit on your perspective too. As you're inviting her and like being here with her, like what are you thinking about when she's here the first time, and kind of that whole experience? She talked about like not showing up a couple more weeks and all that kind of stuff. Like, what was going through your mind in that whole time?
Well, it's kind of an odd thing, but it's kind of like when you bring your significant other home to your parents. I hope she likes it. And that's all I could think, because I was like, this is my home. This is what I love. This is where I love to be. And I really hope you like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, trying really, I mean, of course, when I first started, I think I bombarded her with every, Facebook page and website and all the information, screenshots of here's our pastors and this is what we believe, and felt like I was on the marketing team. But I was so like, and then I just had to let go, and I just had to say, God's gonna put her where God needs her to be, and if that's with us, great. I mean, it helps because her boys and Neil have been friends since kindergarten.
Yeah.
So. And then, when she didn't show up a couple of times, she was so good, though. She was, I've got some other stuff going on. We've got, but I don't think I took it personally. I think I just kind of held on. Like,
being patient in the process,
Yeah. I mean, she even got me to come to outdoor July services.
It started in July.
Church on the lawn. I was never a huge church on the lawn.
It's hot out there. It's hot out there.
Hot out
Yeah,
there.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
But I just always wanted to make sure that she wanted to come back, and I mean, because it is kind of you're picky on who you invite, because you're inviting them into your home and into your family. So I'm grateful.
Yeah, that's awesome. And this is a great example how, as we look to reach the Lakeshore, it happens one relationship at a time. And so thanks for inviting. Glad you guys are such an important part, both of you. Sarah helps out with the teens. You can see out there getting all color painted up and all things like that, or different things. So you guys are such an important part of our church. So thanks for sharing this morning. Let's just thank them again for sharing. So.
Thank you.
I talked about this has been a big part of our history as a church of trying to reach our Lakeshore, and when we first started, one of the things we looked at was the statistics for our county. We're in Muskegon County. We're kind of close to Ottawa County, but we looked at kind of Muskegon County statistics, and one of the things that we saw was that there was a lot of people who had no connection with a church in our county. And over the 20 years, it really hasn't gotten any better. It's actually gotten worse. We have about 175,000 people in Muskegon County. And from the latest survey census reports, what they show is there's only about 20% of those people who are connected to a church. And when they say, like, I attend a church, that might even just mean, like, they go on Easter or Christmas or something. That doesn't necessarily really mean they have this connection with God. It means they just may show up at church sometime. And likely on the other side, too, just someone might have a relationship with God and just not be connected to a church as well, too. So, but, it's like only 20%. That means there's over 140,000 people in our county, just in Muskegon County, that don't have the same hope that we've experienced. Like I'm not okay with that. Because if you start to personalize it, what that means is, like, if you're at the gas station and you're filling up with gas, and there's 4 other people filling up with gas, chances are they don't know Jesus and the hope that he has to offer. Or if you're walking down your street in your neighborhood and, maybe there's 10 houses on your street, chances are 8 of them haven't experienced the forgiveness and the grace and mercy that Jesus wants to offer them. Or maybe you play on a team and there's 15 people on your team at school, or maybe your kids play on a team and you show up there and you're one of the 15 families on that team watching your kids play. Chances are like 12 of them have no connection with God. Like when you start to personalize that and think about that, at your workplace, maybe there's 50 people in your office or your shop. Like 40 of them don't have that hope that we have. Like that just doesn't settle well with me. So this is why we do what we do here at The Journey, because we want to reach the Lakeshore. It's why we do what we do. It's why we collaborate with our other churches, with Venture Church and Restore Church, so we can share this good news of Jesus along the Lakeshore. Last week, we looked at a verse in Philippians, and we talked about taking the next steps and how this is like a continual journey of growth. Let's revisit this verse. We looked in Philippians chapter 2 last week. Here's what it said. It said, "Therefore, my dear friends, as you have always obeyed, not only in my presence, but so much more in my absence. Continue to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Now, we looked at that last week about this is a journey. We want to keep taking steps in this relationship with God. But that's not where the verse ends. It continues to go. It says, for it is God who works in you to will and to act in order to fulfill his good purposes. What is God's purposes? It's his desire that everyone would come to know him. Like his purpose is for everyone to experience this relationship with him. And we take these next steps with God, not just for ourselves, because God wants to work in us and through us for his goodness to be shared with others. It says, do everything without grumbling and arguing, so you be blameless and pure, children of God, without fault in a warped and corrupt generation. Then you will shine among them like the stars in the sky as you hold firmly to the word of life. Now, this is what we want to be along the lakeshore. We want to be like this lighthouse, a group of people who shine in the community as we hold out this gift of life that God has given us, as people may see the difference in us, as we're friends with, as we are friends in these relationships with other people, as we just heard, as we want to shine in those relationships, that they might experience the same hope. It's not just about us experiencing the hope and the joy and the goodness of God, but sharing that with others as well. It says this was like something that was really the calling that Jesus placed upon us. If you look at some of the last words of Jesus recorded for us in Matthew chapter 28, this thing called the Great Commission. He was commissioning his disciples. Here's what he says in verse 18. Then Jesus came to them and said, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I commanded you. And surely I am with you to the very end of the age. This was Jesus' call of his disciples, as he was leaving for heaven, to say, go and share this good news with other people, that they might follow me as well. They might just have the same hope. I'm always with you with this, but the call is to go. This was the commissioning of his disciples, but it's also our call as well. If we're a follower of Jesus, if we're one of his disciples, this is the same call for us to go and to share this good news, to be commissioned into our neighborhoods, into our schools, into our workplaces, to say we're going there that we might be this light. Well, how do we do that? One of the things we've talked about throughout our history at the Journey, and something we will continue to talk about, is this concept of let's invest, invite, and bring a friend. Like we want to invest in these relationships with maybe it's friends or family or coworkers or schoolmates or teammates. We want to invest in these relationships, look for opportunities to invite them into a relationship with Jesus, look for the opportunity to invite them to church, and try to bring someone with us. That's the goal, that they might experience that same hope. Well, how do we do that? That can seem kind of scary and big and intimidating, and so how do we do that? Well, let's look at another verse that will kind of spell it out for us. Here's what it says in 1 Peter chapter 3. It says, but in your hearts revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give a reason for the hope that you have, but do this with gentleness and respect. Now, I want to point out just a couple things in these verses, a couple key thoughts. If we go to the next slide, Mary, there's a couple of things highlighted here. So, notice it starts off, let's revere Christ. Last week we talked about this, like working out our salvation with fear and trembling, like giving God the respect that he is due, like living in this realm where we live in awe and reverence towards God. It starts with us. It starts with us that we're going to shine with lights, like a light, as it's looked at in Philippians, when we live differently, when people see the change in us. It says, then we'll shine like a light. It starts with us and our relationship. As we experience the grace and the mercy and the love of God, we want to extend that to others, but it begins in our own hearts. And then it says, always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give a reason for the hope that you have. And now you might be thinking, like, always give an answer. Like, I don't have all the answers. Like, what if I talk to someone about church or invite them to church or maybe even share a little bit of my story with someone? What if they ask me all of these questions about God and I don't know all the answers? Well, notice that that's not really what it says. It doesn't say, always be prepared and have your theology degree so you know everything about God and faith before you talk to someone. It doesn't say that. In fact, it doesn't even make any reference towards that. What does it say there? Give an answer for why you have the hope. It's about sharing your story, sharing your experience. How have you experienced God? We can just share that. What is your story? How, like Jennifer just shared some of the things, and Sarah just shared some of the things that they have experienced. They're just sharing their experience. It's not about having all the answers. Someone might ask you a big question, and you can say, I don't know about that, but here's what I do know, and you can just share your experience. You don't have to have all the answers. It says, be prepared to share what you've experienced, the reason for your hope. And it talks about like being prepared to do that. Like there has to be some preparation, right? This isn't just going to happen one day. We're walking down the street. It could, but we want to be prepared for that. So that means maybe praying for that person, praying for opportunities, praying for boldness, thinking about like how have I experienced God, and how can I share that with someone in a way that's not weird or odd? How can I work that into like normal conversation? So it's like thinking through that ahead of time and being prepared to share that and praying about it and not worrying about having all the answers, but more concerned about how can I share my story and what I experienced. And the last part is so important to you. It says, do this with gentleness and respect. What I love about what Jennifer and Sarah shared today, it was all about this friendship, this relationship, and that's where it needs to come. That's what we're all about as a church. We're not trying to convert someone to a religion. We're not trying to sign them up for some pyramid scam or something like that. Like, there's been a lot of abuse in the kind of the church world with the idea of this kind of just making people on the street corner yelling at people and telling them they're going to hell, and then they like are just beginning to make arguments and all this stuff. There can be a lot of maybe things that are negative about that. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to just share what we've experienced and the hope that we've experienced. Like, think of it this way. Like, if you go to like a good restaurant and you have a good meal and you're like, man, this was so good. Are you going to tell someone about it? Yeah, you're going to take like Instagram pictures and you're going to post them and you're going to be like, hey, I went to this place and it was so good. I do this all the time. And so, because I like to eat and I like food, and so I like to share that because it's a good experience. Recently, I was talking to someone and they said, hey, we're going to Yellowstone this fall. I was like, oh, really? I went to Yellowstone a couple years ago. And then I shared everything that I didn't share everything, that would have been a long time, but I shared a few things with them of like, this was really good, and this is like a don't miss thing, and maybe consider these things. I shared with them my experience because they were exploring it. It was just about sharing my story with them. And really our faith in God is no different. It's about just sharing what we've experienced in a regular way, not being weird, just a normal conversation, and just sharing the things that you've experienced and the things that you know about God. And you want to do that with gentleness and respect. So maybe just a couple quick thoughts to kind of wrap up those things. Think about it this way. Don't be pushy, but be prayerful. We want to be prepared and praying. No one has come to trust God as their Savior because of an argument. Arguing isn't the way to go. Gentleness and respect. Prayerful, not pushy. Don't be weird or wordy, thinking I have all these religious words I'm using and trying to talk differently than you might normally talk. No, it's not about that. It's really more about listening to them and their story. And maybe they share, I'm going through this stress or this thing with my kids or these other things, and you can share it from your experience, how maybe God has been your peace or your strength through those hard times. It's just sharing it normally, but it's listening to them first and being more of a listener than a talker. And the other thing is, don't give up. Don't give up. Keep giving your time and attention. They say it takes 7 invites for someone to show up to something. And so that doesn't mean like ask them every day this week to show up next Sunday. That's going to be annoying and pushy. But sometimes it takes a while for them to show up. And it takes a process. We heard Sarah talk about how maybe challenging it is to show up to a church because you don't know what to expect, or you had a bad experience in the past. That's so many people. So we want to give them the space for God to work on their hearts. And part of this is realizing that it's not us and our magic words that could help anyone come to follow God. It's God working in their hearts. So we don't want to be pushy. We want to be prayerful. We don't need to be wordy or weird. We just want to be a listener. And we don't want to give up. Keep pushing forward. There's so many people along this lake shore that still don't know the same hope that we've experienced. And we just want to share that with them. So we have a couple great opportunities coming up. Next week, we're starting a brand new series for November. It's called The Story of God in Us. It's going to be a great series that you can invite someone to. We have some invite cards actually out by the doors when you go today and by the main doors too. I want to encourage you to maybe grab an invite card or two that you could invite someone to come maybe to this next series next month. Also, Christmas is around the corner. I know it's not even Halloween yet, but Christmas is coming. It'll all be in the stores on Monday, probably. Well, I'm sorry, maybe Wednesday after Tuesday. So Christmas is around the corner, and Christmas is a time that people tend to be more open to coming to church. So it's a great time to invite someone. So let's start thinking about that. Like again, when you're at work this week, look at the people around you. Maybe just do that 20% stat thing and just consider, man, there's so many people that don't know you. Or if you're at school and sitting around the table or in your class, just think about probably only 20% of these people. Or if you're walking down your street this week, whatever it might be, just take some time to recognize that. And let's ask God to work in us as we revere our hearts to him. Let's ask him to allow us as a church and as individuals to shine like a light in our community along the lake shore. And let's look for opportunities to invite, because one invite can change everything. It can change everything for people like Sarah, for people like Jennifer, for your friends, for your family, for your teammates, for your coworkers. One invite might change everything for them. So let's look for these opportunities. I'm going to ask you just to close your eyes with me right now. Just consider for yourself, like, who is someone that I could invite? And as you're thinking of that person, I want you to maybe just take a moment and ask God to give you boldness or to give you opportunities to invite them. As you're thinking of that person, maybe just ask God to work in their hearts. And if you can't think of a person, ask God to just give you opportunities that you wouldn't even expect. Lord God, I just thank you that you are God who is a rescuer, who has come for us, who wants to be in relationship with all of us. And so as we think about our friends and our family, our coworkers, our people we are in our circles that don't know you, we're asking you to work through us, that we might be a light. We're asking you to do this for us as a church, that we might be a light in the lake shore in the next 20 years to come, but also as individuals to be the light in the relationships that we have. This happens one relationship at a time. So as we think of our friends and our family, and we pray for them, God, give us boldness, give us opportunities, and may you work in their hearts. Thank you for loving us and pursuing us, and we want to just share that same grace and mercy and hope that we've experienced with our friends and family. In your name we pray.